Welcome friends to another r/am I the jerk here video. Would you be the jerk for stealing your own wife's money? We'll find out, but first a story from KeyHovercraft8396. Am I the jerk for being livid at my now husband? I'm 33-year-old female, my husband 30-year-old male, and I got married last week. I've been super chill throughout the whole wedding planning and during the actual event. Because I know crap happens, and if anything goes wrong or not exactly how we wanted, it's not that big of a deal and may even make the wedding more memorable for the guests. The one thing I told my husband I didn't want to happen was I didn't want him smashing cake in my face. I had a suspicion that he would find it funny to do it, so during the planning, I flat out told him not to do it. I don't think it's funny, I don't want to mess up my makeup that took hours to apply, and I don't want cake on my expensive wedding dress. I told him I would be livid if he did it. He promised that he wouldn't. Well, come the cake cutting time, what did he do? Smash the cake in my face. It got on my dress and messed up my makeup just like I knew it would. I'm pretty sure his friends convinced him to do it, not that it makes it any better. I kept it together, went and cleaned myself up, and put on a smile for the rest of the reception. But afterwards, I let loose on him. I yelled at him that this was the one thing I asked him not to do, and he promised that he wouldn't. He told me that I was being dramatic, that it's not a big deal, and we should just be enjoying our time as newlyweds. So was I being overly dramatic? Am I the jerk? I think OP is clearly not the jerk here. If you tell somebody that you do not want something to happen to you, and they go and do said thing to you, especially a physical thing, how could you possibly be the jerk in the situation? Let me ask you guys, even during the wedding, if it happened where the husband smashed the cake into the wife's face, and let's say the wife got mad enough to just shut down the whole thing, shut down reception, tell everybody to go home, would that be enough to make them a jerk, or would they still not be a jerk? Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Our next story is from Princess Birdly21. Am I the jerk for not giving my brother's wife a role in my wedding? Getting married in a few weeks, and this has become an issue. Long story short, my brother married Gemma 4 years ago. She and I have a history. She was a bully in my high school, and I was one of her targets. She bullied me until it got to the point my parents changed my school because I was struggling. I have a history of anxiety disorder as well as depression. That was later diagnosed as major depressive disorder. She made me feel so unstable and took joy in it. From stuff about how I looked, calling me fat, ugly, disgusting, to mocking how I spoke because I sometimes struggled to finish sentences or talk without a stutter. 2 years after I left the school, she got expelled for bullying other girls. One in particular that it got so bad for an expulsion. And then we ended up in the same school again, and she went right back to targeting me. At the worst, she said something unforgivable and disgusting, and I ended up finishing high school at home because of it. I also started suffering panic attacks again after it. So it turns out she had a rough family life, and she ended up having a breakdown a couple of years after we both graduated. My brother met her again while she was working on becoming a better person, and they ended up falling in love. It hurt me deeply that my brother could fall in love with the person who did what she did to me. He told me she was a different person, that she had changed and grown. He made me listen to an apology from her, and then it was suddenly like, that should be it and we were now family. It's not that simple for me. I can understand she had a rough past. See that she does seem to be a better person, but I still hate her for what she did to me. Mostly for what happened that meant I had to leave school and started having panic attacks again. It's also hard for me with my brother sometimes, knowing he believes he can absolve her of what she did to me, believing that I should treat her like I love her. My wedding has now become a hot topic because my brother was asked to be a groomsman by my fiance, and Gemma has not been asked to do anything. She's just a regular guest. An unwanted one, admittedly, but one who is there all the same. My mom and brother asked about Gemma being a bridesmaid, but I turned it down. But what really started this is my brother found out my fiance had a couple of friends he would have asked to be groomsmen, but because we needed the numbers even, and because I would never ask Gemma, he decided not to. My future brother-in-law blabbed. Now they're saying I'm a jerk for not including her in some tiny little way and making it seem like she's not part of the family. My dad told them it was too much to ask of me, and that part of being a better person for Gemma is accepting that she and I will never reach a better place. So now my dad's in the doghouse too. Am I the jerk? Personally, where I stand, I think it's your wedding, so you should be able to decide who takes part in what ways. I think flat out that alone already prevents OP from being the jerk. But when you add in also all the childhood trauma through your developmental years at the hands of this person, whether or not they're a better person now, you can't undo things that have changed you at the hands of other people when you were younger. You may be able to work through those and work past them, but you should never have an expectation placed upon you that you should just let it go, that you should be able to just forget about it and move past it. It's great if you can, and some people do, but they should never try to force you to accept them. Our next story is from Common Humble 7060. Am I the jerk for letting my friend eat the food my pregnant wife wanted? My wife's pregnant and has a lot of cravings. On Sunday night, we had some of my friends over, and I'd cooked 2 dinners. I cooked some mac and cheese, and I also cooked a traditional food for my wife's country. My wife was craving the traditional food and had said that she wouldn't eat the mac and cheese, so she could eat the traditional dish. She got kinda sick at some point and went to lie down and didn't want to eat yet, and said she'll eat later when she gets up. Most of my friends wanted to try out the traditional dish, and mac and cheese was left untouched. Then another friend of mine arrived, and I asked him if he wanted to eat, and he said yes. I saw that there was only 1 plate left of the traditional dish, but out of politeness, I had to ask him what he preferred, and he said the traditional dish, so I gave him the last plate. Half an hour later, my wife got up and she was hungry. She went to make her plate and saw that the traditional dish was over, and she got upset and said, "You didn't keep any for me?" I said the guys wanted to try it out. She started tearing up and said, "I told you I was craving it, and you supposedly made it because I was craving it." One of my friends asked why I can't make some more, but the ingredients were finished and the grocery store was closed, so I couldn't get any more ingredients at that moment. She went to bed tearing up and didn't eat anything. She didn't want mac and cheese. My friends told me that she's acting like a spoiled kid and I should ignore her, but I can't help but feel like a jerk for not keeping her a plate. I'm gonna put myself in the wife's position here, and that's having been from a position where I've never experienced pregnancy, obviously. I know if I was the wife in the situation and I said that I really wanted some of that food, but I can't eat right now, I'm not feeling too well, I would hope that they would save me a plate so I could enjoy it later. They made it super clear that they wanted to have some, they're just not feeling well in that moment. And honestly, I don't think your friends really have any place to be talking about, "Oh, your pregnant wife acts like a spoiled kid." What kind of crap is that? Our next story is from HighPlace6554. Am I the jerk for telling my husband that he didn't have to embarrass the waitress? My husband, 34, is your brutally honest type of guy. He's also incredibly attractive because he takes good care of his appearance. From when we started dating, I pretty much got used to strangers or servers complimenting his looks and expressing their admiration in different ways. I always found it harmless, but he'd get so worked up over the smallest comments from people. He thinks it's rude and ignorant. We went out to eat at a new diner. When we gave the waitress our orders, she looked at my husband, smiled, and complimented his hair. He smiled and said, "Thank you." He then looked at me and asked if I noticed how the waitress was basically trying to flirt. I did notice, but figured maybe she did this to get more tips or something, since it's pretty common practice, and I myself used to do it. He looked at me shocked and asked, "Really?" He then dropped it till the waitress got back with our meals. As she was putting the food down at the table, he looked at her and said, "Hey, let me tell you a little secret." She looked at him and was like, He then said, "I've been all around the world for the past 10 years, and I'd seen many beautiful women, but I'm married." He stressed this, "to the most beautiful one, and she's all I see now and forever." The waitress looked dumbfounded. She smiled awkwardly, then asked why he was telling her this. He replied saying that it's to save her time and effort with whatever she was trying to do. She looked down and quickly walked away. I said that was hurtful and was uncalled for, but he said that she needed to hear it to learn a lesson and know her place. I told him she was just being harmlessly flirty, barely, which could be her way of getting better tips, and that he didn't need to embarrass her like that. He was like, "I don't get you. You should be encouraging me to shut this crap down instead." I said it was just a comment she made about his hair and that's it. He got upset and said that I made him feel crappy for trying to set a boundary for himself, but I thought he overreacted. Am I the jerk? I agree with OP in this situation. I don't think they're the jerk for this. Frankly, OP's husband almost kind of comes off narcissistic. In a way, I think it's actually kind of awesome how willing they are to say they're fully committed to you and they have no interest in any other woman. But I agree that it was very uncalled for and he didn't need to impose on the waitress like that. By the way, if you're enjoying these stories, make sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons down below so you never miss any of my daily videos. Every single video has awesome stories, like our next story from Any Variation 9646. Am I the jerk for begging my daughter not to have any more children? I, 58-year-old female, and my husband Rob, 61-year-old male, have 2 kids. Erica, 35-year-old female, and Mike, 30-year-old male. Both kids are married, but Erica and her husband Steve, 38-year-old male, live nearby to us, and this issue concerns them. They work full-time and have 2 kids, 5-year-old male and 4-year-old female. 5 years ago, my daughter asked my husband and me if we would be willing to become their full-time childcare so she could continue to work and afford their comfortable life. We agreed, but we didn't discuss much more than watching the baby and their expectations. I was a teacher and retired 2 years before I could take my pension. So my husband continued to work, and we made a few sacrifices like vacations and adding to our savings, but we were able to make it work. So I could take my full pension at 55, and my husband retired a year later. Our arrangement worked, and we enjoyed having the kids, except by year 3, 2020, we started to feel like they were taking advantage of our help. In 2020, during the lockdown, they were both working from home. They expected us to keep the kids all day, and we wanted to split time the week since their preschool and daycare was closed. We settled on 2 with them and 3 with us, and my son-in-law complained about it pretty much every day. Things got better when the kids were able to go back to school. Fast forward to year 4, 2021, we have a bit of a blow-up over kindergarten. My daughter did not want the 5-year-old male to start school in the unknown, but I insisted that he needed to go because I needed the break. I also asked for the 4-year-old to spend more time at the preschool and daycare program. Son-in-law complained about the cost, but I pushed anyway. They relented, and then this past spring, son-in-law pushed for us to take the kids for a week so they could go on a vacation. We said they had to take the kids, and he said they couldn't afford it. No one went on vacation. Maybe that's too much background, but I feel like the context is important for what I said. My daughter and I were casually having a conversation the other day, and she mentioned she had an OB/GYN appointment and tests. I asked if everything was okay, and she said Steve and her were trying for baby number 3. I asked her what her childcare plan was, and she looked at me like I was crazy and said, "Us." I said that it would have been nice if she told me this before trying for another baby. She said it's none of my business. I said it is if I'm providing 5 more years of babysitting. I then told her that we're not a viable childcare option for a new baby and begged her to reconsider. The 4-year-old female's going off to kindergarten. We feel like we're getting our days back to some extent and refuse to start all over again with an infant. Erica said we're making her choose between her dream of 3 kids and financial stability. I argued that she has 2 beautiful children and they're financially stable. They shouldn't ruin that with another baby. I might be the jerk because Erica feels like we should have told her sooner. I feel like I'm not because I never agreed to a lifetime of raising their kids. Honestly, bless OP for all that they've done for their kids so far. I think OP is more than fair in what they said, considering the daughter's plan was literally to have OP and their husband raise their kids for the first 5 years for most of the week. If that's a factor you settle on when you're starting to try to have the 3rd kid, you would think that you would have that kind of thing confirmed before banking on that. And that alone I think makes OP not the jerk for saying what they said. Let alone the fact that they as parents wanted to go on vacation without their kids. When your kids are 4 and 5, who goes on vacation without them? Just seems like they're trying to ditch any of the actual parenting work. This next story is from Give Me a Username. Am I the jerk for forbidding my brother from wearing a dress? I, 32-year-old female, am getting married in early July. I have a 15-year-old brother, as well as a twin sister and an older brother, 32-year-old female and 34-year-old male. My younger brother was a later-in-life baby and absolutely the golden child. He's spoiled as heck and a bully to boot, but he cries to my parents that everyone else is the problem and they believe him. My parents, 57-year-old female and 58-year-old male, are great, but they're a bit older, very naive about many things, and think the sun shines out of my little brother's butt, which has set the stage for this. I love my brother, but our parents are allowing him to become a coddled, disrespectful crap. I found him looking at alt-right stuff online, and while I don't believe he's that far gone yet, I'm truly worried about the person he's becoming. My parents believe it's a phase because he's a sweet boy. My brother's recently decided to come out as non-binary. He's insisting on wearing a dress to the wedding, but he's not. I don't make a habit of policing other people's identities, but it is crystal clear to me that he thinks this is a joke. Literally, the only time this is ever brought up is when discussing my wedding. He busts out with how he needs to wear a dress to be his true self and then laughs every time. He can't even keep a straight face. He thinks it's the funniest thing ever. And honestly, I'd say screw it, whatever, if not for one of the groomsmen, my fiance's childhood neighbor and close friend James. He's very recently started his transition and still presents rather feminine, which is a source of stress for him. My brother met James at my fiance's birthday barbecue a few weeks ago, and this began a few days after, which is another reason I believe that this is a way for him to harass James, because he thinks it's funny. He asks why James is allowed to wear a suit and be a groomsman, while my brother's not allowed to wear a dress or be a bridesmaid, since they're the same, again while laughing his butt off. I am 100% sure that my brother's being a transphobic jerkwad, and I'm dead set on preventing him from mocking James like this. My siblings and fiance see exactly what I see, because it's obvious, and are also not okay with this at all. My parents, however, he just tells them that they can't tell him his identity, while also laughing hysterically, and that they're being unsupportive if they don't let him. So that made them immediately take his side. I'm threatening security to remove him if he goes through with this, but that would mean turning my parents away too. One of my friends has said it shouldn't be as big of a deal as I'm making it, and he'll only embarrass himself. But I really think James would be uncomfortable. I think OP's not the jerk here because you can tell it's very clearly a decision not made in honesty and intentionally trying to do so only to hurt people. And who wants to know their wedding was associated with something like that? The funny thing is, people in the comments suggested that OP informed James of this ahead of time, and then that OP should suggest to go dress shopping with their younger brother, talk about makeup or whatnot, and just go full tilt, and see if they actually follow through and commit with it, or quit when they're not getting a reaction out of anybody, and it's not funny anymore. OP said they sent a text asking when he wants to go dress shopping and talk about his makeup for the wedding, and OP got a middle finger emoji back. Sounds very enthused about their identity. Our next story is from Educational Leg 1046. Would I be the jerk if I didn't go to my brother's wedding over a bridesmaid dress? I'm currently in medical school and live across the country from my brother/family. I was surprised when his fiancée asked me to be a bridesmaid because I barely know her, but she wants to have all siblings in the wedding. I made it clear that their wedding was during my final exam week, and while I was able to get accommodation to take my last 2 exams early, I still wouldn't be able to help much with planning or be present at things like a bachelorette party or bridal shower. She said this was fine, it would mostly just be to have an even number of bridesmaids to groomsmen and for pictures. There's a group chat that was created months ago that I would read through every couple of days to get updates on things I needed to do, namely to order a bridesmaid dress. Links were sent with 3 styles to choose from, and we would be updated on colors later. So a couple weeks go by and I ask what color to order. The bride says she's still thinking about it. A couple more weeks go by and she's still thinking. Then a couple more weeks. You get the idea. Now it's at the point that if I don't order this dress in a couple of days, it won't be here on time. So I ask on Saturday what color. No response in the group chat to me. I asked again yesterday, Sunday, what color do I need to order? Then I'm flooded with messages lambasting me for not ordering a dress yet from her sisters and my sister and her. My sister called me, told me to get my crap together and order a dress already, because my lack of preparedness is causing the bride intense anxiety because she doesn't think my dress will be here on time for the wedding now. She texted me this morning, Don't forget to order your dress, love you, with smiling and kissing emojis. Still, no one has told me what color. I've scoured the group chat for a mention of dress colors or an image of a dress, but only the maid of honor has sent a photo of her dress, and I don't know if she has a special color. There's thousands of messages, so it's not simple to find anything. Everyone else can meet in person, so I assume the decision on color was relayed in person. I can't tell if I'm being purposely excluded. About an hour ago, my brother called me pleading with me to work things out with the bride because she's panicking about me. I try to explain this to him, and he told me he doesn't care. It's a petty ladies issue. And since I'm not there for anything else, this is the least I can do because the bride thinks I don't like her because I wouldn't come to anything. He's taking her side. They know I'm in medical school. I literally have no say in my schedule, and I'm on the other side of the country 5.5 hours by plane. I'm fed up with them and contemplating telling my instructors the wedding was moved and I'll take my exams at the regular time. I'd have more time to study that way anyway. I haven't told anyone in my family I'm considering this. Would I be the jerk? I don't think OP would be the jerk, literally because they can't just get to you a simple dress color. How can they go on and on complaining and whining and stressing, and it's literally one question you have to get it all solved and they can't even answer it? Everybody's so incapable, it's one big forget about it, just go have your wedding, and I'll forget that you never told me what color dress to get. Our next story is from Sonoda Mabe to show, am I the jerk not letting my parents move with me because I don't want to give up my pet's room? I, 37-year-old female, am not close to my parents, 65-year-old female and 67-year-old male. One of several reasons is their control, and I always hated that. Even living alone, they wanted to control, and it took several years of therapy to almost completely cut them out of my life, and I've lived in peace for 7 years. I don't intend to have children, I don't intend to get married and live together, even dating, so my expenses are with me and my 4 pets, 2 dogs and 2 cats. They live a life of luxury, honestly, because I have a job that pays well. I have a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom house, the 2 suites I use for bedroom and office. The spare room is for my pets. The entire room is modified, several things on the wall for cats, beds, toys, a door that leads to the backyard. I like to sleep completely alone and in peace, which has already proved ineffective when sleeping with all of them. My parents only visited my house once and before my pets. The oldest is 4 years old. So really, at the time, there was an empty room. Last week, my parents called me saying they lost their house, financed and delayed a lot of installments, and asked if they could stay in the spare room. I said that only the living room would be available. They could sleep on the floor, mattress, or sofa, very spacious and comfortable, as the free room became my pet's room. They started to get angry, saying that pets could sleep in the living room instead of them, and that it's extremely disrespectful to offer parents, even worse, elderly people, to sleep in the living room on the floor or sofa while pets could do it, in addition to complaints about my lifestyle and the fact that I have a pet room. I got angry and said my house was not open to them. Since then, I've been bombarded by their messages saying that they're in a hotel, spending what they shouldn't, and next week they'll go to a shelter because I uninvited them and preferred my pets over not leaving them homeless. Other relatives couldn't help, and they didn't bother me either because they know the pain in the butt that my parents are. I already blocked them, but would like an outside opinion. Am I the jerk? I think OP's not the jerk, and frankly, considering they lost their house, if you let them move in, I think they're probably going to hang around for forever. And I think it's rather big of them to say that OP's leaving them homeless, when OP did offer them a place to stay, and they were just picky about where and how. If you wanted to stay in that house, there was an opportunity to, and you pooped all over it. Our next story is from AITA user 238. Am I the jerk for embarrassing my stepmom to my family, saying the reason why I haven't come to see my baby brother? She's the one who isn't letting me see him actually. My brother's 5 and I, 25-year-old male, love him. We were close ever since he was a newborn. Stepmom got all petty because of my son's mom, 27-year-old female. She's the daughter of one of my stepmom's cousins. I didn't know her that well, but we met after my dad married my stepmom. We hooked up a few times, then she got pregnant with our son who's 2 months old. I found out she was separated from her husband, but they decided to work things out. Neither want me in my son's life since it complicates things for them trying to fix their marriage. It's a major crap show, but all I'm trying to do is be in my son's life. Right now we're in the middle of a fight in court, trying to establish that I'm his father and getting custody arrangement, which they're pushing back on. My stepmom decided to take her side by not letting me come to their house. Not even to see my brother or my dad. I love my dad, but he's soft when it comes to her, as in he'd rather meet with me in secret than confront her. It's been this way for months, before my son was even born, because she doesn't appreciate me trying to complicate a member of her family's marriage by wanting to be involved with the baby. No one in my family knows about this. Well, they know about my son/the custody dispute, but not what my stepmom is doing. Only my mom, but she wasn't there the day this happened. It was my brother's birthday recently and they had a party. At my uncle's barbecue, everyone was asking why I didn't come over for his birthday because my brother was sad about it. They had asked my dad and stepmom, but all they told them was I didn't give them a reason when telling them I'm not going. Firstly, they didn't even tell me they had a party for him, so that's exactly what I said to them. And everything about her not letting me come over to see him or my dad because of what's going on. My dad not standing up to her. My grandma was angry. Everyone was. She was humiliated because they all called her a heartless witch. My uncle was drunk for punishing my little brother over a separate issue. While my family supports me, they did come down on her hard and she's extremely pissed about it. Now she won't stop saying what a freaking jerk I am, trying to ruin her relationship with my family in retaliation for wanting to support her family. It wasn't necessarily in retaliation, but saying the truth since they tried to make it look like I just didn't want to go or something. Am I the jerk? I think OP is definitely not the jerk. It's so backhanded to not even tell you that the event is happening, and then for them to go and lie to everybody and say basically that you just were apathetic, that you didn't care. If they're gonna go and say stuff like that and try to label you as somebody that does not give a crap, I think it's nothing but fair game to reveal the truth and put them on blast and expose them for how awful they're being. And our final story of the day is from Irish Blue Eyes 0787. Am I the jerk for splitting mine and my wife's finances? I, 35-year-old male, and my wife, 35-year-old female, have been together for 14 years, married for 13. We always strive for the betterment of our family. We both work and share a joint banking account to take care of all of our financials. This is until 6 months ago. One day, I checked the account on our shared payday to make sure both deposits were there. They weren't, just mine. At this point, I didn't think anything of it. I asked her if there was an issue with her payroll because her check wasn't deposited. She laughs and says she changed her direct deposit to her own account and that she was keeping her earnings as a just-in-case fund. That was not the case. I get footed with all the bills while she spends hers as she sees fit. Going out to eat, taking fun day trips, buying extravagant things. I've mentioned and asked to talk about this over the last 6 months to come to an agreement. Because as it stands, my entire monthly earnings pay all our bills and leaves me with nothing, while she keeps hers and doesn't contribute. A few days ago, I told her I was going to open a separate account and change my direct deposit. And all heck broke loose. I was called every name in the book and made to feel like I was taking away from our family. I told her I would cover the major bills and she would be responsible for all the smaller bills. All in all, it comes out to a 70-30 split. She's currently throwing me a guilt trip that she can't afford it, which is not the case. I know what she makes. She likes to brag about how much she makes, and I should keep paying all the bills. I'm planning to open the new account next week. Am I the jerk for splitting our finances? On just what the story said alone, I think OP's not the jerk. But apparently there's a hubbub in the comments going on here where OP makes 95% of the overall income and the wife comparatively makes 5% of the income. So doing a 70-30 split, the 30 apparently being enough for her to cover without being broke, I think might turn this into maybe an everybody's the jerk situation. The wife is definitely a jerk for just pulling all of the money out and spending her money as she sees fit, while leaving OP with the tab. But if there is a pretty significant pay gap, it should be factored a little bit more than just 70-30. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. Now, if you want to hear another Am I the Jerk Here story that was even more insane than the ones in this video, click on that left video. Or if you missed my latest video, click on the right. But with that said, I'll see you all next time for some more stories.